recheck. Some examiners charge a full price on a recheck. I go by the hour. So we spend another hour doing a recheck. I basically only charge $500. So you know, I'm not doing my examiner job to make, you know, tons of money. I just do it because I enjoy doing it. Yeah. So I try to keep it fair for everybody. So
he's financially independent, super wealthy.
Oh yeah,
yachts and
right, yeah, sure.
So we just delayed because that guy was making noise. So what we're going to do right now is talk about two types of departures. You're taxiing in a land plane, something's wrong, you need to stop and get something, you just turn off the engine and the plane stops, right? You put on the brakes, it stops. As soon as we start up this airplane on the water or at a dock, we could be tethered. As soon as we let go of that rope and we start going, we cannot stop. There are a few planes that have reverse, the turboprops, like the Twin Otters or Cessna Caravan, and they can go to beta or go reverse and they can back up, but this is only going forwards. So when we start off and go forwards, we want to plan ahead. So we're at a dock, we're at a beach. Here, we're just at an airport, and we know that the airport is mostly going to be clear. I do check to make sure there's no airplane in my way that I have to sit there and wait down my taxiway. But I'm at a beach, or I'm at a dock, or I'm at a boat. I climb up here, and I check my oil, and I check my fuel caps. You can walk to the end there, and I want to have 4 fuel caps on straight. You don't want to fly 300 miles with the cap off, and your low pressure is sucking all the gas out, and you only get halfway there, right? This, fortunately, we have 4 tanks, but if you don't have a cap, so you can walk right back here, and check, and I can see 4 red caps, and they're into the wind. I know they're attached. I have had probably a couple times in 31 years, I looked up and said, what's the cap doing off? And I was getting ready to fly. I've never flown with a cap off. Maybe you guys know someone who has, but the gas gets sucked out pretty quick. So I check the oil, and then I look and I say, is there a jet ski coming in? Is there a big aircraft carrier coming in at San Diego Bay, or a cruise ship, which happens every couple of weeks? I look out, are there anybody scuba diving, snorkeling? Any kid's going to run out and start swimming in front of me? So I have to plan ahead. You don't have these distractions and these obstructions, but also this dangers at an airport, right? When you're coming to land at the airport and a little coyote runs across the airport, the tower shuts down the whole airport and they call out. When you're out on the water, you're going to have overload. On San Diego Bay, you have overload. When we're out in these canyons, you're going to have canyons off of each wingtip, gusty wind. When we were flying over there, didn't we have a gust? Or who was flying yesterday or 2 days ago? We were coming and there's a gust and we just dropped because you're.
Oh yeah, we were coming in for landing. Yeah.
We're coming 10 feet off. All of a sudden you saw a gust and the plane started to drop and you had to add a lot of power. So you have much more turbulence from those canyons. I mean, the mountain was 1,000 feet above us, and the wind comes down. So on one part of the lake, the wind was coming from the south. When we turned around, the wind was coming from the west around the bend of the mountain. You have a lot of different factors that you don't have just at a normal day, airport typically. So I will plan out a departure, and I want to be the safest possible. If there's someone on the beach that looks competent, an adult, especially a boater, you grab him and you use him, politely grab him. So you say, hey, he's got his boat right there. Hey, would you mind holding my tail? As soon as the engine starts, let go. If the engine doesn't start, you're not out in the water with the wind blowing you towards the yacht or to a reef, right? If you're on the beach, you can instruct someone how to hold the tail tie-down ring. Don't have them hold the stabilator. They can hold back there and say, hold on to this. We're going to start up in, like we talked about before. You haven't practiced. As soon as that engine goes, let go, otherwise we're going to drag you out to sea. So you want to have someone hold you secure before you depart. You can also do it yourself. You can get your rope. You can go around a palm tree, if you're on a little deserted island, around a dock, and you can hold the rope. And you can have your backseat passenger hold one side, as soon as you start, let go, and then you're free and clear, but then you're not left adrift. So there's things you want to make sure the rope doesn't get tangled or caught on something.
Is there a reason why we don't have a tail tie down on this?
Because I have to add one on. That little panel, I just add a bolt on. So some planes don't have it, but I do.
So you can leave a rope hanging like you do on the wings back here?
Absolutely do.
So
a short one so it doesn't flop up and get tangled.
Right.
So, but that's generally low enough so you can reach it. The reason why we need one there because you can't reach up 10 feet high. So we just have a ring right there, and someone can hold on to the tail before you start. So that's what I do, and then I always plan to make sure I have my anchor. We have an anchor secured right here. So if I need to use it, if I'm in the Grenadines in the Caribbean and I taxi and I don't, and I have some problem, I have to stop, or I push off and the engine fails, I want to get my anchor and the chain into the sand and stop me, because within a minute or two, they'll blow me out and it'll be far too deep to catch an anchor. And then I'm just going to be blown out into the middle of the Atlantic. The trade winds are usually blowing the other way, but sometimes they shift. So I have my anchor right here. It's secured underneath these crossbars, but I can access it if I'm actually using it. I usually let it drift by and I secure it right here under these cargo tie-down bolts. I have it right here, so I can toss it in the water, tie the chain, and as I'm stopped, and then I'm only 50 yards from the beach versus adrift. So these are things you think about before you take off and leave. So we're going to go through.
How heavy of an anchor is it, Mike, that you have?
Oh, it's an 8-pound anchor.
Okay. I just wondering. I haven't seen it, so I was just wondering what you had. I'll take a look at it later.
So I have it secured right here in the back. I'll pull it out in a second. It's right here underneath my towels and other ropes. So if you're going to use it, I want to put it up here where you can just open the door, undo one tie, and have it ready to toss in. Okay, so this will take me 30 seconds.
So the big thing about taxiing on the water is just thinking like you're in a sailboat. It's the same exact thing. You can put your sailboat in neutral and it's going to continue and continue and continue, and you have to, you can turn, you can do stuff just like you can on this, but you got to anticipate
wind's gonna take you
whether you're into the wind, whether you're downwind, whether you're crosswind, and all that junk. You just have to anticipate when to shut down the engine and how far you're going to go. So
these are the questions our examiner is going to ask you. So what do you have to think about? You have to broaden your awareness to the jet skis, which are the quickest one to come zipping in your way. And they may be going that way. They made a U-turn to the right back in front of you. So the jet skis are the little scurry rats on the water. They're small and they're fast and they go every which way, right? Exactly. They're the smokers from Waterworld. So we have the Waterworld Seaplane on the west side of the airport. So we're going to go do that. So you have to plan ahead. These are things you don't have to worry about in this little Cessna. You start, you can hold the brakes. We start going. Okay. You want to always have an out. So when we start taxiing and we want to slow down, those who have flown the last couple of weeks know this. We have several ways to slow us down. So first of all, we can idle this engine down to about 500 RPM, and it's going really slow. It looks slow because that prop is even geared and it's going even slower. The second thing we can do, we can put our flaps down. If we're going into the wind, these big barn door flaps will watch the sporty pilot video. They say you can burp it. You can turn the mag, one mag, and it goes even slower, and then you can go off and on, off and on. This, the propeller moves so slow, it's right near quitting, so we don't even burp it. But we do all the things I just mentioned. We actually slow down and never stop. You have your passengers on the left and the right side. Stick out, open your door. You can put your foot out and hold it. This rear door catches even more air. And in addition, if they're holding it, will give you a lot of cooling. Because in Hawaii, when it's 85, or in the Caribbean, this is just like a great big fan coming off. But those are ways to slow down when you're taxiing. Worst case scenario, chop off the power. Just stop before you hit a dock. Okay, that's an important thing to do. Now, if you are floating backwards or adrift, and the wing or the tail is going to hit, you can run out to the wing and the tail. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Wow, have you done this before?
Actually, you've run out to the tail. I haven't run out the tail. You've done it, yeah.
So I'm real quick. I have a bad knee here, but even with my bad knee, this is the steps we use. These come out and they lock. We just go scurry. I'm going to add a step here. We just step right up, and I can run out to the wing. Now, one guy said, hey, you're going to break your wing. Well, this wing is designed to lift 3,800 pounds. 4,000 pounds, that's 2 tons. It is designed safely to have 3.8 Gs, 4 Gs, so 4 times 4,000. This wing, theoretically, is supposed to hold 16,000 pounds, right? So my 150 pounds out on the tip, not going to break this wing. It's doing stress inverted, so even inverted, it's supposed to have negative 2 Gs. So 4,000 times 2, it should have 8,000 pounds plus a little margin. It's not going to break at 4 Gs. It should go to 5 to 6 before the plane falls apart.
So this is positive 8, negative 2.
This is positive 4, but 4,000 pounds is the normal weight, or 3,800. We'll just round to 4,000 times 4 Gs. This wing should hold 4 times 4 grand, right? So it should hold 16,000 pounds of weight before it breaks.
And it's just negative
2. Negative 2. So if you have a big gust and passengers should be strapped in, but your baggage whacks the roof, it should have negative 2. So with me on the wing, it's pushing the wing in the opposite to the way it is. But it still should be able to take 8,000 pounds of negative lift. Like if you did fly it inverted, which is not legal, and flew in the air and pulled 2 Gs, the wing should take it, plus a little margin. It's not going to break. It should be able to fly and reach those numbers and have a little margin.
Or heavy turbulence.
Yeah, heavy turbulence. Now, what we teach when we learn to fly is you slow to your maneuvering airspeed, and you get a super gust. Instead of the wing braking, it's just going to stall. And then the gust is over and you recover, right? So what you do is you slow down to your maneuvering airspeed, and if you have a severe gust or severe turbulence, instead of the wing having a structural failure, you're at a speed slow enough that the wing will actually stall when it hits 4 Gs on the wing. So let me just demonstrate. If we had a severe problem where I pushed off, we couldn't start the engine, Lyle jumps out and he's paddling and we're still drifting and our wing's going to hit a yacht, like this big yacht Kogo that wants us to fly down there and have breakfast, well my tail's going to hit. Instead of my tail whacking and causing 5 grand of damage, I'm going to run down there and fend it off. I could grab my paddle and run up there with it, and that's what I would do. Grab my paddle right there. And I'm going to climb up here really fast, push my slab in, and I have a big step to add on there. And I go right up to the top, right on the wings. And I'm on the water, I'm actually going all 4s, like a crab, so I don't fall off, right? Now, this should be able to pitch up and down 200, 300, 400 pounds. If I stand on the tip, that could be harmful to the aircraft. Yeah, I know. But certainly I can stand right on this root, because it should hold 400, 600 pounds, and stick my foot out and fend off hitting a boat, hitting a dock. Same thing. I step right on the rivets where they cross, and this airframe can hold me easily. And I go on all 4s if the plane is pitching and turning. I go right up. This wing absolutely takes my weight. I can run across here and fend off the dock. Push off, grab my post, and just push off, Now the wingtip's no big deal, but this aileron, you don't want to bang it. So I'm going to go push off a boat, push off a dock piling if I need to. If I don't need to, I can jump in and go swimming. But that's what you do. If you have to, you can run across the wing, just like a little rat scurrying across your back fence. So that's an important thing. And a tool guy, I like to dip the tanks, make sure the tanks are secure, especially flying long distance. So I bring up my stick, I climb up here, and I have the fuel guy hand me, and I fill up the gas. Particularly because I want to see how much gas I have, then I know exactly our weight and balance. So if 4 of us are going flying, we're 700 pounds, I can only put in 200 pounds of fuel. When we take out our long-range tanks, we take out the rest of the insulation, ADF, and all these other stuff we're taking out, we're going to have an extra over 100 pounds more. But I'm going to put my little dipstick in, my little stick reads, I have 10 gallons, I want to put 2 hours of fuel, so I have 30 total, so I'm going to put in another 10 and 10 on each side, so I have 30 gallons of gas, I'm at my gross weight. So every time we fly, I dip the tanks. I do not trust the little gauges in the airplane. They're nice little gauges, they look cute, but they're just worthless. Because they may read that you have a quarter tank, and you may have 2 gallons. And the way you know is we take a little dipstick. Lyle, can you pass it to me? It's right on the front.
So what's the useful load then?
So this one right now is 900, but we're adding another 100 pounds. We're going to take out these long-range tanks. I take out the rest of the insulation. I've got a slaved HSI, which I don't use the slave part. I just set it. So I'm going to take out the big compass, bounce it in the back, and the other instruments in the back that I'm going to remove. So we'll have an extra 100 pounds when I run a read. So I'm 1,000.
And the empty weight is
So the empty weight's going to be 28. The takeoff is 38.
28. Okay.
So when I'm fueling, I come up here, I grab my little dipstick that I also check the pontoons, and I say right here, I've got 20 gallons on this side. And I dip the other side, I've got 40 gallons, I have almost 3 hours of fuel. If I want to add some, I add it myself, and I visually make sure. I'm just trying to be as safe as possible. So instead of having the fuel guy get on a great big ladder, I just climb up here, and I stay super safe. I'd much rather have me fall and break my elbow than the fuel guy, just out of a nice thing. And I'm super safe. Thank God I've done this 31 years, and I've never broken or fallen off, except jumping into the ocean. So what's also good about here is we can check our slats. The helioid slats to keep us super safe.
I didn't realize we had two of them. I thought it was just the imports.
And then Lyle, if you can use the controls. So we also have right here, we have a short little stubby aileron, but right here we have two fences that pop up, and it spoils the lift on this little section, and you actually have to stand on the tail. But right here, there's little fences, and what makes it happen is that when we're at 40 knots, we can turn and bank and have complete positive control. Now, when you're going slow, these little fences that pop up with the ailerons, you can't see them, but you can hear them. What happens is it makes it so that we can have really great positive control. If there's a gust or something, the wing does not stall because of these leading edge slats, and the Fowler flaps that go down and back. And we're going to discuss that now, why this makes this Helio in particular very safe and a great seaplane for San Diego Bay.
This is your airspeed indicator, right?
Yeah.
And where's the static port at?
The static port's right behind the round windows.
Okay, I see it. All the way in the back there. Okay. We have one or two static ports. Oh wait, over there? What's that way in the back, Lyle?
We have a little static port on each side.
That's your static port.
I was thinking I should just sell fuel gauge stickers. Instead of like, yeah, it's accurate on empty.
We got one on the other
It's
side.
calibrated. It's the sticker you put on the panel.
Yep, okay.
Our static port.
Yeah, just so we got two of them on each side.
So that's pretty much our pre-flight. Very thorough briefing on the passengers. Again, if you're going to be flying a lot over open ocean, you want to definitely show them how to do an exit. Land upside down in the water, have to open the doors, stay secure. Once the plane starts moving, undo the belt, hand to hand to move. And then one thing that most people don't do is they don't secure the bag. So it's more important in the seaplane to use your rope to secure the bag and put your safety stuff on the very top. Your life vest, any bag that you ready to put a bag in, your float, and your signal flare, everything that goes on the top. So those are important things to do. And then,
How about maintenance? Is the maintenance any more rigorous for maintenance, FAA requirements for maintenance? Need more than 100?
there's no change in the maintenance. But in seaplane, particularly saltwater, is huge maintenance. A lot of the seaplane operators have straight floats. The hydraulics, the pump, all the gear mechanism adds weight, number one. You lose a passenger and a half typically for a 185 or 206 or a Helio here. So you want to have a very, very rigorous and very continuous maintenance program. And what will happen is, like owners I know, they don't fix things and then they let it go and then it costs a lot more money. When things seize up, or you have an incident where the wheels don't go down, or when you have other trouble. So it's far better to get real good friends with a competent mechanic. And maybe you have a neighbor who's a good car mechanic, and he can do a lot of, if you have a private aircraft, he can help do a lot of the corrosion control preventative. So someone who's good with their hands, who loves flying, and then you can trade some hours flying, you can help me. Because I always find me doing it myself, I wear out, but have someone helping me, it goes a lot faster, and then just, take them for a flight once a month. as a thank you, and it's much better because there's just constant maintenance for us seaplane and saltwater. So we have amphibs, we're in saltwater nearly every single day. Sometimes maybe we'll be at the Colorado River or freshwater lake, which is fine. But Lyle knows I'm working on a plane like every day. So for me, it's worth it because the seaplanes are so much fun. People just have a blast flying because you combine the joy of flying and going places with the joy of boating, and people love the water, whether it's going to a pool, a lake, a river, or the ocean. It's a whole lot of fun. So mixing an airplane into the waterworks is just a
You
kick.
don't see more of them in San Diego.
Why you don't see more of it? One is because the FAA, sadly, are very unsupportive. When I've been there, they have not been supportive or neutral. They've been actively antagonistic. It shouldn't be that way. I'm just being honest to answer your question.
Yeah.
Now, in the past, they've never had any specific, real aggressive things, but just their comments and their words are not say, hey, great, glad, it's really neat you have a seaplane. It's been the opposite, very sadly. Just very say, oh, dangerous.
So constraining.
You're gonna get. This is words from the FAA. You're gonna get shut down. We could shut you down. Just comments like that are totally not uncalled for.
So they're not promoting
but
it at
they're
all.
wrong. They're. You would think that they would want to have safe aviation, but also be a positive influence. But I don't know about other operators. You might talk to them. But I'm just being straight out honest.
Sure, I'm just
The
curious.
FAA is not supportive, and they should be. It's
Yeah.
not just my opinion, which means nothing. Now,
Yeah, with the PBYs and everything else that
no, but
came out of
if
the
they
city.
continue, I'm going to go over their head, over their boss's head, and straight to the top guy, which would be Barack Obama, and straighten him out. Period. He's got lots of people, and say, look, the FAA
Take him
should
flying,
be
yeah.
promoting business. Now, let me
It's
give you the
supposed to
opposite.
promote aviation. It's just that this office.
And 2905 Hotel Charlie is now Air Force One.
What we should have, though, is an FAA that really wants to have good, safe pilots and a good relationship and be, up on the board. But, just the dynamics at this airport is people say, oh, this thing's bad, this seaplane, that thing's bad. So the FAA doesn't come talk to me. They talk, they go talk to the janitor and people that have nothing to do with my seaplane instead of coming to me, which is craziness, right?
But do they tell you there's a designated area, South Bay, this is where we want you?
They have no authority to do that. So if they tried to do that, they'd make a mistake because they have no authority to designate where seaplanes can go. Because the reason is they don't tell the seaplanes in Seattle, you land on this part of Lake Union and this is for the boats, because that's not their authority. They're not dividing up Lake Union up in downtown Seattle. They're not dividing up the waterways all over where Kenmore Air Harbor flies and the others. They don't tell Lyle Pinnapinda.
They fear liability too, probably.
Well,
so-
no, they don't.
That's not
They
their
have.
job.
It's not their.
Yeah.
It's not their control.
Now the police
Okay.
may go to the beach and say, hey, you can walk dogs here, you can launch your boats here because that's a city ordinance. And so then they would be responsible for enforcing laws on the books. But they have no law. In fact, if you go on the Seaplane website, the Pilots Association of Seaplanes, they have a whole advocacy to help keep lakes and rivers and waterways open so seaplane pilots can enjoy it. And there's a nice guy, Walter Windus, in California, and they have had occasional battles. Lake Isabella, they had lots of boaters saying, oh, we can't have seaplanes. Seaplanes are going to be polluting, they're going to be noisy, they're going to be obnoxious. And many of those people who wrote that, after the seaplanes were there, said, hey, what I found out is the opposite. These seaplane pilots are nice, they gave me a ride, they gave me a hot dog at the barbecue, and it's great having seaplanes here because they can coexist and they can operate safely.
Do you go into Mission Bay also?
They had two seaplanes there landing and taking off, doing water bombing, dropping. They had these these big Canadian bombardiers giving demo, and those guys were up there. I talked to the pilot for about 30 minutes. They're up in LA to put out forest fires. So they came down and they were doing scooping off of Mission Bay, just a demo for all the news media how great the water bombers are. Whoever was in charge didn't go for it, but that is just a body of water that you could use. But they have actually areas on Mission Bay. There's an area for jet skis. There's an area for the motorboats, and the west side is for the sailboats. And so that's all divided up, and they do have specific regulations. Where the federal government pays to keep waterways open, then it's open for seaplanes. I don't know if there may be, but anywhere where the federal government is where they have the Corps of Engineers or they're doing any type of federal navigation, they're wide open for seaplane use. And if they tried to restrict it, this is just my opinion, again, it means nothing. But if they said no seaplanes allowed on Mission Bay, they could get away with it. If they allowed no kayaks, no harbor cruises, no one could come and rent a boat and go out. And if they banned everyone, then they might have a chance of also, then of course, banning the seaplanes. But if it's open for them, then we have, we're not in communist Russia. That wall fell down 20 years ago. We're not in Cuba.
I thought it was interesting that attitude that gentleman had earlier.
Most
that
people have that.
prevails, I think, in San Diego, and I'm just curious.
The prevailing attitude is, and I can see it on the faces of boaters. Yeah. Some boaters go by and they're waving and they're smiling, and a couple of boaters go by and go, what the heck are you doing on my ocean?
So none of that's based in fact. It's just a lot of hearsay, I guess.
The legal position. This is what happened 30 years ago. I went to the head of the Coast Guard, and the base commander said, I'm going to have my guy research it. And a week later, he says, this is what we found out. We have seaplane landing zones with underwater lighting, because in World War II, PBYs would take off. Some of them were made without wheels. They could only land and take off on water. They would come back after dark when they went and looked for this Japanese subs or aircraft carriers, and they would land on the San Diego Bay with underwater lights. And he said, our rule says that there are no deep water moorings of boats, no stopping of boats in the channels.
But that's not still there, is it?
It could be, but what he says, boats cannot get in your way by our law, so you have priority. That's what the commander of the Coast Guard told me 25 years
Now the
ago.
reg I just read, I read the reg that they reference in the videos or in there, and it's a 91 reg, and it says waterway rules, and basically, technically, boats do have the right of way.
Yep.
So you do not want to impede a boat's path.
Especially landing. We're going to get into all
Right,
those rules.
taking off for landing. So basically, you got to make sure you're not going to be
So
cutting
on the
across
right-of-way
boat.
hierarchy, you're at the bottom.
We're
So
pretty much
let me go through my opinion, then we'll go through the law. My opinion is that anyone who's weaker or less capable or slower has right of way. A swimmer, a sailor, a kayaker would have right of way over motorboats. And then the motorboats have right of way over us. Especially if we're landing and there's a bunch of boats. Well, there's 5 or 10 boats here, go over there. There's boats here and there, go land, circle around for 5 minutes, and the sail guys will go away. And that's exactly what happens. When you're on the bay, it's 10,000 feet wide in some places. It's about 5,000 feet wide, but it's like over 10 miles long. So if there's a bunch of boats or a little yacht club having a little canoe race or regatta sail race, and there's 20 little boats here, then go a mile away so you don't bother them. Why land and bother someone when you could just land and then taxi slowly by them? So what we try to do is just be a polite, neighbor on the airport. We try to climb, don't make noise to the houses. So the poor guy that works at night is annoyed that you're buzzing over with a loud full power. Same thing, taking off on the bay. If we have a couple boats and we're taking off, we just turn away and fly where there's no boats, right? Lyle, we were out there.
Yeah.
We take off and there's a couple boats ahead, so we just turn.
You reduce pitch prop.
We do it as soon as it's safe. We climb at 5 feet, we get up to 80. As soon as we're established in the climb, we take out some of our flaps. I immediately go full power and I reduce the propeller RPM by 600 from 34 down about to 28, even 27. And as soon as we're up at 300 feet, we go to 25, 25, and the engine is much quieter. Fortunately, this engine is fairly quiet compared to most of the big helicopters flying over at 500 feet, landing at North Island. The noisy boats, they got big cigarette scarab boats that are going up and down the bay. Even the defense, what do we call our Homeland Security, they got a noisy, fast boat. I'm sure they have fun doing it. But there's a lot of noisy things in the bay, including big airliners landing every 5 minutes. There's an airliner coming by. It's noisier than us.
North Island too.
And then you got down in the South Bay. You got to worry about the helos going back and forth. We had a helo. It was about 3/4 mile.
Oh, transiting the bay.
But see, these are military pilots. They're used to flying formation. They're used to flying close. They're not phased. Now, if you fly right close to a private pilot with 160 hours, right, then he may get a little freaked out that you're really close. Same thing, if you're taking off right near a sailboat, they could get freaked out. So I always try to take out behind them, not in front of where they're going. I always wait till they're going by and I take out behind them, so they have to go turn around and look, and they know we're not cutting them off. they're going away from where we are, and I typically would just be patient. Just wait for the sailboats to go by, wait for the jet ski to spin around and leave. Typically the seaplane, when you land, one or two boats come up and just come up and wave. The jet skis, they'll come up and they wave. And they usually are behind you, which is good. If they're going right in front of you, I got my hand on the mixture, and if that's not quick enough, I just turn it off, right? If a jet ski's coming at me, I don't lean it and wait 2 seconds for the engine to slow down. I just bag off, get the prop stopped, just in case some guy out of control. And this is what happened 26 years ago. I had my Helio down in Grenada in his big yacht that this really nice owner from Newport Beach would always fly with me, he and his wife. She would get in. She usually had like 10 bags like this. So we had to stuff the plane and strap bags on the wings and stuff. But she had like 4 bags of shoes. They were super rich. They just had lots of stuff. But I saw his boat and I landed next to him just to say hi. And this little Zodiac, it was actually a big Zodiac, was going around and they went whack, put a hole right at the water line with the metal tie ring on the front of the Zodiac. Fortunately, it had fiberglass floats. It had a metal core of these Seamaster floats. I mixed up fiberglass, just like patching your surfboard, and I had it patched in 10 minutes. But otherwise, I had to get out my metal tape and stick in. That was, these guys are sometimes, they don't know what to do. And this guy had rented this yacht for $100,000 a week, and just was totally out of control. So if some guy comes at you out of control, you just turn off the key, right? Pull it out, stop it. You want to lean it if you have a chance, but you want to be as safe as possible.
I think the mixture and the key is going to take about the same amount of time. I don't think
the
it's
key
gonna
goes.
Key goes faster, definitely. Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
The mixture will go another second or
A
two.
little fuel left over in there.
Yeah.
But that's what you do. Mixture, and then it'll stop 2-3 seconds later. So what we would do is we're going to go and give our takeoff and our checklist in the aircraft. I'm going to talk about the safety features of the Helio and demo it. So what I need is a brave person with strong lungs. Lyle, you want to be come up here, because we're going to know why the Helio is a very safe aircraft. That's what the key real quick. What happens is when this Fowler flap goes back and down, the gap forces air through here, and the air coming through helps pull air over the top. So when we're climbing out and we slow up to 60, the airplane feels kind of like it's burbling. As soon as we roll in 10 or 15 degrees of flap, we get a gap here, and the air going through helps suck air over the top. And I'm going to show you how dramatic that is, because in concert or in unison with this forward leading edge slat, when we slow up to about 60 miles an hour, the angle of attack changes so that the pressure just sucks it out. And I just say God takes care of them, and they extend. I give a briefing to the passengers, and they kind of bang in and out and make a little noise. Don't worry, that's just the way these leading edge slats work. Hadley Page, a British guy, made them. Let me show you why with a demonstration why it's so effective. I'm going to ask Lyle to blow up a little bag in his lungs. When we blow up this bag, I'm going to guess it's going to take 15 or 20 breaths. And then I'm going to use the principle of Bernoulli. So here's a little bag. So it's a little trash bag. I'm just going to check to make sure it doesn't have holes in it. And I'm going to ask Lyle to use his lung power and blow this up, okay? So Lyle, you can just blow this up. We're going to count how many breaths it takes. All right, we blow up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Most people take 20. Good job, Lyle. Ready to pass out.
Yeah.
Now, what Bernoulli figured out is that the pressure. You will let your hot air?
Yes, you can.
Now, I am full of a lot of hot air, so I would probably take one breath slower. But what will happen is, when the air goes over the wing, when you're teaching the first hour of ground school, we talk about Bernoulli, and when the air speeds up, it loses pressure. What happens is, I'm just going to blow, it's all empty, and he took 19 or 20 breaths. We're going to see, using this idea of the low pressure is going to suck air in. 2, 3 breaths versus 20. What happens is my air is high speed. It's just a little lower pressure. It sucks in